Today I will show you the top 12 most broken builds in Path of Exile 2 0.5. I've been seeing hundreds of new builds popping up, so here's my personal builds list that every player can use to find brand new builds to play, or some older ones that are now back into the meta with just few slight adjustments. Some of these builds are insane screen clearers, some are completely game-breaking boss killers, and some will delete entire maps in split seconds once their core engine is online. So I'll break down each build, how it plays, and why it is one of the most broken setups in this new meta. And remember, if you wanna try any of these builds out, then check my links in description. And if you ever played this game for long enough, then you know that grind for currency can feel endless, and that's where Elixir.gg comes in. They are a trusted American-based platform built by actual players. They offer cheap Divine, Chaos, and Exalted Orbs as well as mirrors. Think of any item or currency that you can get in the game and they will deliver. What I really like is how smooth the whole process feels, from few clicks on their website to in-game currency in minutes. So what are you waiting for? If you wanna skip the grind and enjoy the game your way, then click my link description and use code KADE for 50% off. So first up we have the Oil Barrage Martial Artist, and this is an in-game projectile machine gun build. The idea is that we use martial artist defenses, the shapeshift tools, power charges, the fork ricochet, nova projectiles, and weapon swap scaling to create a storm of overlapping hits. The new martial artist ascendancy makes this setup more exciting because it adds glove scaling, charge support, defenses, and the hollow focus utility. So you use Whirling Slash to fly through the maps, then swap to your damage set, then fire Oil Barrage into the packs. And because projectiles will hit the ground, so they will fork and ricochet, and when you position correctly, they will multiply the real damage a lot more. Then for bosses, we enter with the charges, use Furious Roar, keep Devour active for the charge generation, and then channel the Oil Barrage during the burst windows. Overall, this is not a cheap starter, but once you gear it, it's extremely fast. Next up we have the Spell Totem Oracle, and this will turn the Spark and the Green Pillars into a full totem army build. Instead of casting yourself, you drop totems, move forward and let them flood the screen with the lightning. The big 0.5 reason that this works is the Ancestral Bond buff. You no longer need awkward charge generation just to use the totems, so this build finally feels real. The Spark will give clear, Green Pillars will give single target, while the Biting Frost lets the sparks interact with the pillars for the extra explosions. For mapping we will place 2 to 4 totems and keep moving, while sparks will cover the screen. And then for bosses, we drop every totem together, keep the Frostbomb active, maintain elemental weakness, and then let the army deal the damage. Overall, if you're looking for one of the best mana stacking builds, then this is it. Then next up we have the Ice Nova Chronomancer, which is the one button freeze fantasy. We just walk into the map, cast the Ice Nova, and the whole screen freezes before the enemies can react. The build will use Cold Infusion into the Ice Nova, Frostbomb, Frostwall, Snap, Siphon elements, and even the Comet triggers. In 0.5, Cold casters look great because freeze is both damage and defense, and the Chronomancer will add even more control with the Time Freeze, Temporal Rift, and cooldown utility. Then mapping is also simple, we just cast Ice Nova while moving. Then you snap to keep cold infusions flowing, and from here just drop the Frost Bomb on tanky rares for exposure. And then for bossing it's more structured. This time we start with the Sigil of Power, apply elemental weakness, place down the Frost Bomb, and then rotate the Frost Wall into the Ice Nova. Frost Wall will give you a real single target, while the Comets will trigger a real burst. Overall, this is a safe, flashy, and super strong build for AoE players. Next up we have the Minion Army Infernalist, and this is one of the most comfortable army builds in the game. You can summon skeletons, specters, clerics, mages, warriors, reavers, and the snipers, and all you need to do is just walk through the maps while your minions shred everything. In 0.5 this build is strong because minion scaling, spirit, specters, and muster will all work together cleanly. The main damage will come from the Power Zealot specters, while the rest of the army will give extra bodies, projectiles, shock, protection, and offering value. So for mapping we just stay near the minions and keep offering active, and then for bosses, you drop the Sigil of Power, apply your curse, maintain Pain Offering, and let the specters attack inside the circle. Early on, we can use Elemental Weakness and the Frost Bomb, but then once Rakyados Flow is involved, then we swap away from the resistance lowering and use Despair. Overall, this build is simple, safe, and super fun to play. Then next up we have the Auto Bomber Gimling Legionnaire build, and this is one of the new craziest expensive endgame setups in 0.5. It uses cast on dodge with the Ember Fusillade, by turning every dodge roll into explosion. You'll just dodge through the maps while Ember Fusillade triggers, chains and deletes packs. The Gimling is perfect for this because advanced dramaturgy gives you a huge quality value. The Ember Fusillade will get reduced skill effect duration from quality, while cast on dodge gets more dodge distance. This means more instant explosions, more trigger energy, and more mobility from the same investment. For mapping, our loop is literally we just dodge from pack to pack. The degree of flight will make it feel like we are a flying bomber. And then for bosses, we add self-cast Ember Fusillade, cast on critical triggers, and Tangle for critical weakness, Despair, Flame Wall, and Withering Presence. Overall, this build is expensive, but at the same time, it's super OP and fun. Then next up we have the Hollow Form Martial Artist, which is a clone-based Whirling Assault monster. The idea is that we link the Hollow Form with the Whirling Assault, summon spinning clones and then scale them with the power charges until our damage becomes insane. The 0.5 Martial Artist package is perfect here, because Hollow Focus, the Way of the Stone Fist and the charge tools will support our engine. The Loctonial Cares is the key interaction here, because clones can generate power charges for you, and this will feed the charge regulation and make the next Hollow Form a lot stronger. So for mapping, we just tap the Hollow Form and let the clones spin through the maps while you move. And then for bosses, we generate charges with the Hollow Focus bells, with the Killing Palm or Devourer, and then just use Rend, Reputation or the Parry, then pounce with the Predator's Mark, and from here just spam the Hollow Form on the bosses. With a very high energy shield and base evasion, this build will become a real boss deleter. Then next up we have the Archmage Arc Stormweaver build, and this is a mana stacking lightning caster. Instead of relying on energy shield recharge, this setup converts energy shield into mana with the Eldritch Battery, by stacking giant mana pool and even using the Archmage for huge added lightning damage. In 0.5 this matters because mana becomes now both offense and defense. The damage taken from mana before life gets recovery and durability, while Archmage also massively scales Arc, so for mapping just cast Arc and let the chains clear packs. The Science Temper piece will give you Nova scaling coverage, while the lightning will spread everywhere. And then for bosses and rares, we place down the Orb of Storms, use Galvanic Field and cast Arc from the safety. The Mana Tempest is our burst button, but only use it when the boss is winnable, because it drains mana super fast. And then the Mana Remnant will help to sustain the engine. Overall, if you're looking for one of the best and most fun Spark builds, then this is it. Next up we have the Jin Minion, Disciple of Farashta build, and this is a new active minion caster. In 0.5 it gains value from late game minion damage buffs, improved command movement penalty, Puppet Master scaling, and even more cooldown recovery. Kelari is the main Jin here because it has the best damage, good clear and critical weakness from the Kelari's brutality. The Ruzan will add chap coverage, while Navira gives gold utility but asks for more buttons. Then for mapping we just spam Kelari's Deception into packs and use Ruzan when you want the extra coverage. And then for bosses, we use Elemental Weakness, Frostbomb, Pain Offering, Kelari's Brutality twice, then Kelari's Deception 3 times in the same area. And from here, the powered Zealot Spectres and the Master Scaling will add even more damage. So overall, this build will delete bosses in split seconds. Then next up we have the Ice Shark Martial Artist, which is a Hollow Palm Cold Melee build. The idea is that we freeze enemies, explode packs with a Herald of Chains, and then melt bosses with the Ice Shark, Tempest Belt and the Charged Staff. In 0.5 the Martial Artist improves this style through the bell interactions, glove scaling and the stronger defensive tools. And then once the Hollow Palm technique is online, weapon upgrades will matter much less, because the damage will come from evasion, energy shield, blood damage, crit, gem levels and the gloves. For mapping, we just want to keep the Charged Staff active, use the Shattering Palm into the packs, and then just kill with the Ice Strike. The Herald of Ice and the Herald of Thunder will clean up the screen, while then for bosses, we attack until the Tempest Bell is ready, then drop the bell, then keep hitting through it, and then from here just refresh the Charged Staff when you have the charges, and then rinse and repeat. Overall, this is a fast, stylish and league start friendly build. Next up we have the Cast on Crit Comet Stormweaver, and this build gets better when the content gets harder. The Spark and Orb of Storms will clear normal packs, but then when rares, bosses or juiced encounters survive longer, then the Cast on Critical Comet engine will start raining down. In 0.5 this is valuable because tougher content will give you more time to trigger repeated comets. For mapping we just place the Orb of Storms, then spam Spark through the orbs, and then let extra hits feed even more crits. For dangerous packs you can add in the Sigil of Power and the Mana Tempest before before blasting. And then for bosses, we just pre-place the sigil, apply elemental weakness, use the frost bomb for exposure, and then drop Orb of Storms, and from here, just spam the spark while the comets will fall. And finally, Convalescence is your panic button, while the Siphon Elements and the Mana Remnant will sustain the setup. Overall, this build recently got buffed, so right now is one of the best times to play it. Then next up we have Companion Spiritwalker build, and this one is built around one massive boss companion. Instead of a normal minion army, the big monkey here will become your weapon. You scale minion levels, companion damage, attack speed, and rare beast modifiers, as well as pain offering and support gems until it starts deleting bosses. In 0.5, the Spiritwalker will make this fantasy real, because tame beast and companion scaling will finally have enough support. For mapping, we just move through the packs, keep companion close and let it slam enemies. However, if packs are dangerous, then let the companion go first. For bosses, we then apply the Sniper's Mark, use Pain Offering, activate defensive tools, and from here just let the monkey hit. If damage however feels low, then the answer is usually more minion levels, better support, or a stronger beast modifier. And finally, we have the Permafrost Bolts Witch Hunter, which is one of the best freeze crossbow builds in 0.5. It was slightly nerfed around Spirit and Eternal Rage setup, but the core is still alive with insane DPS. Permafrost will freeze, fragmentation rounds will delete frozen enemies, while the Witch Hunter will give you Zealous Inquisition to clear plus source reward for defenses. For mapping, we just shoot Permafrost bolts into the packs until they freeze. The Herald of Ice and Zealous Inquisition will turn that first freeze into a screen-wide shatter chain, which then projectile speed will make it smoother, and the ricochet is great in the halfways. And then for rares, we swap to the fragmentation rounds and pop in the freeze, trigger the short scavenger for the free permafrost shots. And then for bosses, we start with the freezing mark, freeze with the permafrost, detonate with the fragmentation rounds, and then refreeze again during the short scavenger. Overall, this build is super fun, simple, and extremely satisfying to play.